And we are live.
Live.
Hello.
Welcome back to the Underwater Tribe podcast. Today in the studio we have Mr. Graham Abbott.
Thank you.
Dive guide extraordinaire, what else we want to call you. But how are you, Graham?
I'm really good. Really good, thanks. Thanks for inviting me on here.
Thanks for coming. For those people that maybe don't know who Graham is, Graham, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Where to start?
Where
There's
to
so
start?
much
Yeah,
of it.
it's a long story.
Well, you know,
Let's
you're
start
getting up there.
when did you get here in Indo?
When I came in 97, I arrived in
97.
97. I've been traveling around. I had a whole plan just to go to Philippines, basically, because that was a cheap flight. Go to the Philippines, and it was also looked like it had good diving, good adventuring. Then I had to get out of the Philippines. That was
The police trouble? Or?
yeah, ongoing flight.
Nice.
You have to have one. So I had an
Okay.
ongoing flight, and the nearest place was going to Sabah. So I hopped down to Sabah, and then, of course, Sipadan. Hit Sipadan. I'd done an advanced course in the Philippines, in Puerto Galera. Got to Sipadan. I'd booked a 3-day trip, and then ended up staying an extra 7 days doing my rescue course, which was pretty awesome.
Back then, Sipadan would have been amazing.
Oh, it was
97.
97 was
when actually you could stay
So
on
you-
Sipadan.
Exactly,
could
you were staying on the island.
Well, it was also a bit of a problem because there was too many resorts. There was like 8 resorts. There was hundreds of people at weekends.
okay.
I
There
was already packed.
people walking. Oh, it was chock-a-block. It was just
All divers or
just full of divers, and even
Right.
snorkelers, reef walkers.
many Italians?
Probably in one of the resorts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I had a plan. Went through Brunei, Sarawak, and this was all sort of just adventure stuff. Over to Kalimantan. I didn't know much about diving Kalimantan, so I just sort of traveled through, and that's when I started learning Bahasa.
Okay.
So it was almost like instant, after going to Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, Sarawak. It's really easy. Everyone can speak English. Then you get over to Kalimantan. Hello, mister. Nobody.
Yeah, but
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody
Bisa,
speaks
bisa.
English. So
Exactly.
yeah. So you get your little guidebook and you're looking through, and you're trying to speak a bit of Bahasa. That's. I think that's partly why I fell for Indonesia, just because I had to learn the language. So I really delved really deep.
Yeah,
into
force you a little bit into the
Indonesia,
culture,
yeah.
force you into the talking to people.
Yeah,
and getting
yeah.
a sense for the place.
Yeah.
and then after you were in Kalimantan,
Kalimantan, and I hopped over to Sulawesi.
Okay.
Yeah, hopped over to Sulawesi, travelled through all sort of by land and bus and local transport. Again, doing it, I just loved it because I was learning a load of Bahasa, stopping off at little places, ending up the Togian Islands, of course, and then Manado. So I was in Manado, and I got this, I was staying at a backpackers, and there was this Froggies resort that was highly recommended
Yes.
at the time.
Bunaken.
Yeah,
Was
on
probably one of
Bunaken
the
Island.
only one there at that time.
There was quite a few, some of the bigger ones as well. But so I made this phone call, and it was instantly like, right, okay, I've got an internship for you. You do 2 months for me for free, and I give you the dive master course. I was like, that sounds too good to be true.
Let's do it.
So I actually got in touch with a guy that you'll know, Kim Hessel.
Yeah.
Unbeknown to me at the time, it was him. I met up with him, and he said, "Oh, I can do it. It'll cost you this." He said, "But if you've been offered that deal, go for it. She's really good."
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had a dive master course. And
Okay, so you did it at Froggies.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I did it with
cool.
Christiane, and it was amazing because she's really strict.
Yes.
And it wasn't too much of the sort of paddy kind of all stuff. We covered it all, but it was more just how to be, really looking after the guests.
Yeah.
And guiding, which was what I wanted.
And safety first, of course, when you learn, and that's a great thing. But also in that time, being in Bunaken, do you think that helped you out to develop your searching for little things skills from the beginning?
You're not gonna believe it or not. It was actually on Sipadan.
Oh, you already started in Sipadan.
So yeah, I arrived in Sipadan, and we're doing a load of dives all the time, and all the dive masters were constantly sort of, yeah, okay, today's dive we show you reef shark, barracuda, and you see turtle. Okay. And there was so much more.
Yeah.
There was like leaf fish.
Yeah.
We were finding leaf fish, and we were seeing all this really cool stuff. And then you dive in Barracuda Point and all these great places with tons of fish, loads of turtles, everything else. But then after you've been there for 5 days of just seeing that kind of stuff,
and there is a turtle again.
What else? Yeah,
there is a whitey. Yeah.
Yeah. So you start looking on the reef, and I had a Canadian buddy for a while, and we'd just go off on our own and find all this really cool stuff. And there was one morning, well, she'd left, and there was one morning when I wanted to go in the morning and just do early dives, because I had my rescue course, and then I could do later dives. And there was no one to dive with, so I was like, oh shit. And then I overheard this new couple who just arrived. They were trying to get the dive guides to take them diving, and dive guides are like, "Oh no, you have your own gear. You just take a tank and go. House reef's there." And then he walked off, left them. So I walked over, said, "Hey," I know all about the house reef, and I know where things are. I need buddies to dive with. Yeah, so we can go three. She's like, yeah, take us. So I, got to the shore, give them a whole briefing, go down, and we'll go along and in towards the cavern, and there's a ghost pipefish hanging out the cavern, and there's a big green nudibranch that's been there for a while, and we might find crocodile fish. And as soon as we got in, there's a leopard shark going past, like, yes! And then I found all this stuff that I told them how to brief, and they come up and they're like, oh man, that was brilliant, shaking my hand. And from that moment on, I didn't want anything else but to be a dive guide.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
That's cool.
And that's the beginning of the story of Mr. Graham Abbott.
That's how it
Passion
started.
for the little stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, the best recipe is always this, like begin with a passion. Like whatever you're doing, and then you can really develop.
And then you can work your passion and hate it after a while. But no.
Okay, come on. And that was in 97. And was about 21 years ago, 20 years ago.
21 years ago.
And since then, you've been leading groups and taking divers and looking for small things.
Yeah, and also just going adventuring, and it's not just all about the small things. I've had plenty of private charters where I've had the joy of being able to just go exploring and stuff, and especially a place like Raja Ampat.
Exactly.
I was luckily on probably the second boat that was ever there, like proper lead-in charter trips.
Oh, what year was that?
That was 2001. Was the first time we went up there.
Okay, which boat?
That was on Kararu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so they were already up there 2001.
Yeah, that was their first year, the end of 2001.
That was one of the Sea Safari boats.
Yeah. Sea Safari 3.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was a great excitement
to
go see new places.
Really nice.
Oh, it was amazing. Absolutely
no lineups
amazing.
of divers to get in the water.
No. I mean, it was pure exploring. The thing was,
and good exploring.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing was, the first trip that they did, they had Eddie on the boat. No disrespect to you, Eddie. They had Eddie on the boat.
Oh, we're gonna get some insights in here.
Yeah, and they had. I wasn't actually on the first trip, but so I called Tony up and I'm saying, "Hey, how was it? How did it go?" He said, "Oh man, it was pretty shitty. We had green water, and the brief. We were just sort of told, oh, we're going to dive in at the bottom here. We'd just go there, dive, and the currents would be roaring. And the guests didn't really like it. They wanted a different coloured Thekacera nudibranch or this. And it was like, man, this is the first time in Raja Ampat. So then the second trip was my charter. It was a bunch of really good friends that I'd met at other place, and so he chartered the boat with all of his friends, and we had Bert and Maureen were on the boat, so they were sort of helping out with a little bit of photography. So I get on the boat. It's like, well, we're just going to go north. So they knew a little bit about the north. So the first dive, again, it was a hectic dive. It was meant to be a check dive, so I just took the real beginners. I took them and we went to Cape Cree.
Okay, yeah.
Cape Cree for a check dive.
Yeah,
excellent.
Sure.
Excellent.
Depending on where you go. Yeah, exactly.
Excellent if you jump in at the right place.
Yeah. Let's jump right on the corner.
Yeah. So I went over, had a look. I was like, wow, it's brilliant. But I'm going to go. I'll go sort of reef on the right where it's a little bit quieter. Took my group, come up, and then the guy who chartered, his wife turns around. She's on the boat. She's like, oh my God, we're not doing this again. This is crazy.
Oh, man.
So they jumped in, supposedly right where the split was, but not far enough. So they got in the water. Some people couldn't quite get down.
Yeah.
Ended up going over the reef. whirlpools, and all,
yeah.
the Cape Crease stuff
Right.
you do not want to do.
Exactly.
So we didn't quite get the briefing because they'd only done the sort of one trip, so they weren't aware that it was pretty nasty. So after that, it was like, okay, well, where did you go? Where else have you been? I'd wake up at 6 and I'd be up raring to go at 6. Right, okay, where? They'd point to the island. I'd go in, have a look around. Yeah, okay, have a look around that one. Do a couple of little 15-minute dives or whatever, and then come up, do a drawing. Okay, we're going to dive here, and we drop in here, and if you go around there, there's a ghost pipefish there, there's pygmy sea. I thought you haven't dived here before. So I just had a quick look.
Yeah. I remember exactly where the ghost pipefish is.
Yeah, I mean, when you're really just riding, you're in the zone. It's just like you're going around and boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. There must be there a ghost pipefish. And it's quite probably sharky.
Well, funnily enough, back then there was no sharks.
No, there wouldn't have been. Yeah.
If we saw a shark on a trip, wow, it's like wow, we saw a shark.
And now it's getting better and better every year
yeah.
since it's been protected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you go to Wayag then at the beginning?
Yeah, all the first trips were up in Wayag.
Mostly up in Wayag.
Yeah,
so when you went there the first time into Wayag, we could show a picture of Wayag here on the screen. But when you went in there the first time, it must have just blown your mind, the topography.
Oh man, it was awesome. It was awesome. Well, another cool little story. When we first got there, goes in and we're going to do the walk. So
so you already knew there was already a trail walk up there?
Well, yeah.
Or
so
you were thinking there was a trail walk up there?
No, we'd heard, because they had Eddie on the first trip, so
okay.
he'd sort of showed them the walk. When we gets there, they gave a briefing, and they were all pretty youngish, similar kind of age as me and all that, and then went up, and it is only literally a 20-minute walk, but some of them were like, oh my God. But the cool thing was, there was an aqua bottle at the top that had been split into with a pen and a piece of paper, and you opened it up and you could see how many people
reached the peak.
and it wasn't even in the hundreds.
Really?
Oh yeah. So you had
I can't remember the number.
Now you get 100 a day.
But yeah, back then there was very few people that did it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was very
because
cool.
it's funny. The first time you go, you haven't been to Wayag, have you?
No, yeah.
The first time you go up there, if you're with someone who's never been up there, and you get all the way almost to the very top, and all of a sudden it's been pretty easy, and all of a sudden it comes to this chimney, and if you don't know where to turn right, if you just go straight, you're into this chimney, and you're like, oh no. How the heck do I get up there without ropes? And so you got to know where to turn right. And I did that the first time I went up there. Oh, yeah, I know the way.
Oops.
Oh, where am I? And this can't be right. Of course, I've got people with me. It's like, oh, no, let's turn around and go over this way. Ah, here we go. Now it makes sense.
Because it's actually very dangerous.
It is.
I mean, it's easy for, if you're just knowing where you're putting your hands, but it's really dangerous.
That limestone looks so sharp, man.
Yeah, Now it's pretty much rounded off. It's had a lot of traffic.
Lots of erosion or traffic?
There's actually another one there now.
Yeah, they're on the
and
back.
that's, I thought that
one's a little bit harder.
It's a little bit harder, but it's quite gnarly.
It's because it's more rocky.
Yeah. So actually, there's a funny story about going up there. I had another amazing pleasure was diving with Larry Smith.
Yes.
And Stan Waterman, which was just like, I got offered this job. Matt on the Palladium was looking for a cruise director. He wanted someone to sort of take over because Larry had finished, and he said, oh, it's with Stan Waterman and Larry Smith, and I was just like,
getting excited, get the butterflies.
How much do I have to pay? And then I got paid for that, and it was just amazing. That was a 3-week trip from Kupang all the way up. And it was amazing just working with Larry, seeing Larry's passion. It was at a time when Larry was getting off the boat, so he wasn't like, I think he'd sort of had enough of working with Matt. I think their relationship had sort of finished because he was actually off the boat, but because these were his charters with Stan Waterman, he was on there. So, but it was just
he chartered the boat.
Yeah.
Right,
well.
So you were the
Stan
employee.
Waterman, Stan Waterman had chartered the boat, and so we did it sort of together. Just I was just working with Larry, and it wasn't like Larry. It wasn't like Larry saying, "Oh, we're gonna dive here." It was like, what you reckon? What do you think? And it was just great just to work with someone with that kind of teamwork. Kind of, what you think? And I really like that vibe. But what was funny is that the owner of the boat was on there, Matt, and he was more the you dive where I say.
Oh,
So he's got
damn.
He's got two people that are
he's got
quite experienced
two
in the
people
area.
that are fairly experienced and
Quite
also
high.
really passionate.
Yeah, exactly.
And that listened to the guests.
Yeah.
And Larry knew his guests so well.
Right.
He'd been diving with them for a long time, kind of like how I get with mine now. But Matt was going, oh, we'll go this way. And we're like, oh, okay. So we did it, and it was amazing. But we didn't actually get to Missile.
Okay.
Well, we got to Missile, but we didn't go on the southeast.
Oh, so you
Like where all the
where all the good stuff is now.
And all that. We were like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this looks amazing. Just looks fantastic. And we ended up going around the other side.
Oh, on the
Sort
West
of
Coast.
towards the Nampele area
Okay,
and all that.
right,
We found some good stuff,
And
but
did
it
you
was more for
Did you do
critters.
the Northwest Coast as well? All the small islands in the Northwest.
We done a bunch of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
it
just
wasn't
was looking at
much-
some of it on Google Earth, but I haven't been up there.
Wasn't much in the way of reef. It was just patches of reef. Some
Right.
amazing fish life.
Yep.
But we were just focusing on the critters because Larry was critter master and
exactly.
I was into it. So with the guests just loved it. Obviously, it would have been a totally different thing if we would have got over to the
Yeah.
Fia Bachet Boo. And we went to Jeff Pele.
Okay.
Spent a lot of time there.
Yep.
And just found a bunch of different sites there. It was really good.
I was just there
Yeah.
for a few days last week.
So we was getting actually to the Wayag story. So we got to Wayag, and I'd already done the trek. So I sort of briefed the trek as if don't want Stan Waterman going up here. It was like a week before.
Yeah.
It was a week or two before his 80th birthday.
Right.
Okay.
And I thought, not on my watch.
No,
Yeah.
No way.
So I
I had that
briefed
in
it.
Komodo a few times.
I briefed this trek as like, it's really hard. It's very tough.
Yeah.
It's really gnarly.
It's gonna be
sharp.
cardio.
It's this. And then there was two of the younger people said, oh, we'll miss out. And Stan's like, yes, sounds like an adventure. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
no,
That's
not on
the
my watch.
worst. Yeah.
Another cool guy that I met on that trip was Michael Topolovac. He's the guy from
Yeah, I've heard the name.
what's the Dark and Still thing? Light and Motion.
Light and
Ah,
Motion.
yeah,
Not
that's
Dark
right,
and Still.
yeah,
Sorry.
Light and motion.
Light and Motion. Yeah, Michael was on the boat, so I was like, Michael, I got really pally with Michael, so I was like, Michael, right, one of us is going to go in front and one in the back. Just make sure, I'll go in the
Yeah.
back, you go in the front, just make sure he gets the right hand, and the pair of us were just making sure nothing happened to Stan Waterman, and it was hilarious.
Did
We
you
got
get him
up
up?
to the top.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
he was just a trooper, just
Yeah.
He
no
cruised right.
problem whatsoever. And the funny thing was, he got down and he had his daughter and another girl, and he's like, Graham, give me the parang. And I got the knife, and he's like, come on, ladies. And he's like, ah. So I got this great photo of Stan going, ah. Oh, yeah, that was cool.
So when you're talking about this and funny pictures like this, so you still like on your trips like this, you have few traditions that you like to keep. For instance, like when you pass the equator and things like
Oh
this.
yeah. Well, that was another introduction from Larry and Stan, and we'd cross the equator, and it was the warm up to it, and then it was the you stop somewhere a day before, and you stock up on all your grass skirts and everything else. So and it was pretty cool. I hadn't actually crossed the equtor on a boat, but I was part of the crew.
Yeah, or you
Well, I was
said, oh no, I've done it before.
I was part of the crew, so that I'd done it on Kararu, but we didn't actually have the
Okay, didn't
ceremony.
have the ceremony.
We didn't really have the ceremony. I didn't know
Hollywall.
much about it.
But that's a great thing. But these are, like the things that make the difference.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
That they make it like a great trip,
Yeah.
you know.
Exactly.
It makes it so much more of an adventure that you're going somewhere and you're pushing another boundary. You're going
Exactly.
across the equator, and it's like, oh my God, we're going across what does it look different? Or,
And where
it's just-
we
And you,
are,
co-
you know,
you
like,
cover people with food scraps and things like that.
oh, so many things you can do. Yeah.
exactly. So, Graham, you
Yeah.
definitely keep them entertained and excited. And
Oh yeah.
so this kind of things is really what makes the difference between just to go diving and say like, okay, I go diving. I just dive. But the livable trip, like we were just saying, is something that
Yeah, you go
goes
with Graham.
beyond that. Like you can make it more exciting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, another thing I always do and used to do, still do, is I never mention mantas. I mean, now it's kind of difficult because you
Yeah,
go
'cause
into
everybody
Manta
knows.
Sandy.
Yeah.
Yes.
You go into these places where people have now heard of all these
Yeah,
spots.
and they're expecting.
Back then, it was like, I found out, I'd heard about Manta Sandy from fishermen. Or not, it wasn't actually Manta Sandy. There was 3 different spots that where the mantas play, as the locals call it. So I went, there was local fishermen. I went to see in Swincry, there was a local fisherman there who just took us around, I'll go here. And it wasn't really known. It was just, we'll try. But when I started leading trips there and people wanting the mantas, I'd just say, well, okay, we've got this cleaning station and there's a chance that we're going to have, some big fish will come in, and if we're lucky, then I just tell them, just hang around and this and this. So as soon as they see a manta, it's like, oh my God, we saw it.
Yeah, they get more excited.
Because you get the opposite end of the spectrum. I remember going to Thailand for the first time, and they were constantly talking about the leopard shark you might see, the manta you might see, this you might see, that you might see. And a lot of it they didn't see because there was tons of divers. And I knew the cruise director, so he'd basically say, oh, if you go off on this ridge, it's really good. You go off a bit deeper and this. And I'd see all that stuff. I'd see the mantas, but I'd just, I didn't want to, if I would have mentioned it, they would have obviously got the cruise director and the guides into a bit of stick. But yeah, I don't like mentioning the real exciting things. I just talk about the critters, talk about the good fish life.
If they come out, that makes it more like as a surprise.
Hey, look,
it is so much more exciting. I've had people just like, oh my God, it's going nuts. But when you mention it, it's like, yeah, we saw it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not as much.
Yeah, they come with more expectations. They're like, okay, if you brief them on it and then you don't see one, they're like, well, you said there was going to be mantas here. Why were there? And you're like, oh.
So when the people ask, oh, can we see any manta here? No, sorry, no spoilers for this dive. Yeah. Yes, maybe.
It's like going to Eagle Rock, and I never mentioned mantas there. So maybe we might. I don't know.
Yeah. And that was good because I think last time when we were there,
I think you're the only one that saw.
Yeah, exactly. And I saw like 2-3 times, like straight on the face.
Yeah.
Wow.
We all went around the corner, and then Luke was like,
I come up from the
once you guys left, I saw one.
Yeah. Oh, that what's funny, on my last trip there, I'd done the whole same thing about Eagle Rock, and the first dive, we were on the way up there. I sort of, when I go out and check, I had a little look. Yeah, there's one at the back of the rock. There weren't really much on the cleaning station, but there was one on the back where that beautiful black forest is.
Yes.
So I said, right, we'll go in here, and gets in, and it had gone away, and I was just hanging around, and they're sort of like, where are we going? And whoa, look! And the next thing, they're all like, ah! Yeah. And we just hung out for about 10 minutes.
Nice.
Luckily, it hung out for about 10 minutes. It went away, and then we just carried on with the dive. Finished it.
Nice.
And then we came back. It's funny enough because Mermaid was there on the way back, and it was blowing. It was a little bit choppy, and I called them up and said, "Oh, what time you dive?" And they were diving before us, so I let them go off and dive. Mm-hmm. And so I went out and snorkeled, just having a look around. I was like, but I don't think they would have saw any mantas because I didn't see any snorkeling until right when they started to come up. I thought, well, I'll go back and have another look. So I went back and had another look, and on the far, there's like lots of cleaning stations.
Yeah, yes,
so on the furthest one, I was like, there's one. Then I was snorkeling over. Okay, there's a few. So they must have just come in. Must have just.
And that's where I saw them last time. They were in those cluster of rocks, a little bit off the main ones.
Yeah. So that time I said, right, we'll jump in, and I wasn't too sure we'd see them. It was like, jumped in, bang, one.
Nice. We did that a few weeks back. I was there, and we did a dive there, myself and whoever else. We were all in the water. We come up, didn't see any mantas, but we come up to the boat, and the boat driver's like, "Oh, you guys must have had an amazing time with all those mantas."
Damn.
What are you talking about? He's like, "There." It's like, and so there's like 3 or 4 mantas swimming around at the surface. And the driver's been watching them the entire time, and we never saw them underwater. So like, jump in.
Yeah.
Funny. Yeah. How long did you, or shall we say not how long, but when did you decide to get off the liveaboards and get off that stuff and move full-time to Bali and start diving for images? Divingforimages.com.
Yeah. So I had a contract for a year with Kararu, and so basically I was working at Wakatobi for a while, and then I was just hanging out to get out of there, and I actually got a phone call from, I think it was Sasha. I got a phone call, which was pretty odd because it was just that he happened to get in touch with me. It was a satellite phone or something, and he'd met Denise and Larry Tackett, who'd said, "Oh, Graham's," because I'd met them at Wakatobi, and they were really. They'd mentioned that, I was pretty good and I wanted to get out of Wakatobi, so I ended up on Kararu, ended up at Kararu after Wakatobi. And I'd done my year there, and it was sort of, I enjoyed it, but I had my style of diving, which was I always check places, and I was one of the people on the boat was sort of, no, we dive the plan. What's the saying? You plan the dive and dive the plan. And I was like, yeah, but if the plan doesn't work, and you've got older people that don't want to swim against the current, it sucks.
Yeah.
Correct. So I'd come up and my group would be like, oh yeah, it was great, we saw this. The other group would go, you didn't have to swim against current? What current? And they'd be like, why didn't you do it as I dived it? I briefed it, I said, well, the current was going the wrong way.
Right, yeah.
So you jump at the other side and then you drift into them swimming against the current.
Just places like, at that time we were doing a lot of South Rincha. We was doing, we'd stay for numerous days in Horseshoe Bay, so a lot of it was like Yellow Wall, Cannibal Rock, and all that, which we knew really well. And it was just the current goes more this way, but so it was just. And then I'd realised there was a couple of people on the boat that I'd spoke to, and there was friends that were just like, oh no, wherever you go, we'll sort of follow you and we'll charter a boat. And then there was a couple in particular that said, oh, we'd love to, if you move on, just let us know, we'll go where you're going. So I called two couple, and they were like, yeah, we'll do a charter. So I basically had 2 full boat charters, which was enough for me to go, right.
Yeah, to kickstart it.
Make the same amount of money on these,
Yeah. So I wanted to do things sort of my way. So what I did when I first chartered, I chartered the Ombak Biru, the Komodo dancer, for 3 trips, because they only had shorter trips. And I put together 2 longer trips and started in Bima. So at that time, everyone was going Bali, Komodo, back to Bali.
Right.
Yes.
So it was, the diving was great, but I wanted to go on the eastern side of Rincha, because we'd done a little bit there and I loved it. It was just, again, it was unknown, it was exploring. And I'd sort of worked out that, in theory for me, I'd worked out that if you go on the darker moon phase, you're going to get clearer, warmer water.
Okay.
And it actually works.
Let me put down a note.
Note to yourself. Well, there's a few people that I've mentioned it to, and they now run trips on dark moon phases.
Right.
Yeah. So I wanted to go exploring. I'd done a little bit when we'd gone into Horseshoe Bay. There was known sites, and we got to hear about a few other places. The pinnacle on the southern side that we go to that apparently not everybody knew about. And then each time we go exploring and find different things.
The one that they call Rodeo Rock.
Rodeo Rock. Yeah.
That's a nice one.
Yeah. And I just wanted to go looking for more stuff like that, and also the critters. And I'd also found a few specific bommies that just had photographically they were beautiful. Just had a lot of sweepers around them and things like that. So I wanted take photographic groups and things like that there, and it all worked out. It worked out really well. I chartered the boat, took my groups there, and then wanted to do more exploring, so I chartered the Komodo dancer. I think it was a year later, and I took them over to Flores. So they'd never been out of Komodo.
Was Gary on the boat at that time?
Gary was on the
Bevan
boat.
is coming.
Bevan's coming. I can't do this to Gary. I can't.
No, you can. It's gonna be here. He will answer back later on. Actually, makes it more interesting.
No. Yeah. So I took it to Wakatobi, because I worked there and wanted to go back to Wakatobi, live aboard,
and where did you start that trip when you went up to
Maumere? So we sort of relocated to Maumere, done a 2-week Wakatobi trip, a 2-week Alor trip, and again I'd done a little bit of Alor. And wanted to explore, so it was all just more exploring, great stuff. I'd done. Larry had he'd pioneered the Bienga Bang,
right? Yeah.
Which is now it's still a really cool hotspot. Yeah. Back then, it was just absolutely smoking with stuff, and it was amazing. So it was just for me. It was taking people like photographers on the boats I'd worked on. We were still doing the sort of general itinerary, and it wasn't so photo specific. And I wanted to say, well, yeah, we're going to stay there, but we're going to dive the same site a lot more. We'll dive the same site for a day.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You know, which is what a lot of shooters really wanted, and that was all the feedback that I was constantly getting from photographers. Is like, oh yeah, we really enjoyed Cape Cree, but we only got one dive, and then we went on.
Yeah.
You know, and this like people, even like Burt Jones was like, oh my God, why didn't we stay here for longer? And it's like, I could have.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was early days. We wanted to explore here and there. So, yeah, I mean, I'd set it up. I wanted to attract photographers, and I really, you know, it was a dream to try and attract filmmakers and try and work with scientists or whatever.
And there, here we go. So, like, you started to do this, and you started to become pretty good at it. And all of a sudden, you get a phone call, and you land a gig with David Dubile, right?
Well, no, well, before David was the BBC.
Oh, BBC first.
Yeah. Well, I'd had a National Geographic a trip with a guy, Tim Lehman, he's like the bird guy.
Yeah, he's the bird guy.
He's the bird guy, but he's an amazing underwater shooter. And he was working with another guy called Les Kaufman, who's an amazing writer. He's I think the head of marine sciences at Boston University.
Okay.
Guy's a genius, just incredible, really funny and great humor. But they did a story together, and because we was on a boat, the Ikangarami, which I managed to charter, I ended up with a bunch of charters on that. It was an Amman boat, you know, the Amman resort. So it was like super high end, but I got it at a deal which was about the same price as Gran Komodo's boat.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, wow.
You know, and Gran Komodo are great,
Yeah.
but this boat was fancy.
Yes.
Right.
So the two shooters, Tim and Zaffa were downstairs, and myself and Les were upstairs. He's got this huge cabin. It's sort of like twice the size of this room almost. It's got a valet here. It's got the separate shower and toilet and a huge bed in front. So Les had this huge double bed, and I was just on a mattress at the side of it, which was still luxury. And it was just, so Les is sitting there, and he's just, he was writing away, and they got so much of a good story and everything that they ended up getting 26 pages.
Wow.
For this art, they had full double color pullouts, and it was all about the way fish see underwater and colors underwater. So that was very cool.
How inspiring can be a great trip, huh?
Yeah.
26 pages is not you.
It was funny, if you Google the trip, there's actually an interesting story about where the boat broke down. we had a couple of little breakdowns. One was due to weather and the lack of scuppers on a tender boat.
Oh no.
Anyway, that's a different story. But so then I'd been up to Gunung Api, and it was really, I knew that it was a really special place. The sea snakes, there was so many sea snakes.
Yes.
So I put out I had a few little shots of lots of, a bunch of sea snakes together. So I put a whole page together on my website. I'd learned how to do the Google stuff.
Did you go there the first time with Larry, or
No, I did it actually with Shakti.
Ah, okay.
With Dave on
Dave,
Shakti.
yeah.
David never had. David built a boat, and him and his buddies, it's all kind of backpackers and all this, and all of a sudden he gets a booking without bargaining. It was like over $200 a day. Oh my God, we've got 2 people have booked full price. Graham, you know about these kind of people. It's Americans. Can you come and give us a hand? Give us a bit of advice. Yeah, okay. He goes over and sees the boat, and okay, so where are you going to put the dive tanks? I'll just put them on the floor. What? It's very backpacker. I said, no, make one. Just, you get a tank rack, get a little cubby hole underneath, everyone's gear, this. Oh, okay. And, how about a ladder for your tender boat? Ladder? What do you need a ladder for? They're American. Chances are they might be a little bit bigger than your average backpacker and a little bit older. Really? Yeah, you definitely need a ladder. So anyway, they've done these 2 trips back to back. Gunung Api. It turned out that I actually knew the 2 Americans.
Oh yeah,
and
I knew them.
I'd put on some other people, and it was about 8 or 9 of us on there. So it was sort of whole mix of people on there. And another interesting guy who was on there was Uwe, the owner of. He was the owner of Tambora now.
The guy that okay.
Yeah, he was actually on that trip.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it was an interesting introduction. But Banda, the Gunung Api, when we went, it was a bit early. I'd even read and thought, well, September sounds like, because I've read all about this thing called Pancharoba, or is it Pancharoba or Pancharosa? Pancharoba, crossover season.
Okay.
So what in the Banda Sea they call it the Pancharoba, which is the crossover season, and it's said to be really milky water, really and we had it. We had probably in some places 10 meter viz, some places even 5 meter viz.
Oh, that's not good.
So like September, don't go to Battersea in September.
It's not the September time.
No, too early.
Until October. Then
Yeah,
October
then October it starts. But anyway, even in September, sea snakes was just incredible.
Everywhere.
We had load of sea snakes, and there was feeding stuff going on, and it was just
quite impressive
mad.
over there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it only did it for about 5 years. So I basically, my website was just like, right, this is really unique. Wrote whole pages, put sea snakes, going happy behavior, this. And
so you got the BBC into that?
Yeah, the BBC got in touch, and they were like, we're really interested in this, and they spoke with Eddie on the Pindito, and he was busy or couldn't do it or whatever, didn't get the budget. So I said, oh well, I've actually got this trip and this, and I had it all sort of lined up. Oh, that's too expensive. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So I ended up finding another boat, just worked it all out, and done the trip. And it was just incredible. The boat was going a lot slower. That was meant to do one of these owner stories of how fast does the boat go? It does do about 6 to 7 knots. Oh, okay, that's enough.
That's okay.
That's enough for Gunung Api.
4.5.
6. Yeah. No word of a lie. 4.5.
4.5.
We're going out of Alor. We're going out of Calabahi, and 4.5 knots. And I've got my GPS, and I'm 4.5. I said,
and it doesn't sound like much difference, but like 2 knots different on a long distance is crazy.
You can't even go against the current. Hello.
Oh yeah.
Well, he said the owner of the boat. He said, "Oh, there's current."
We can all start now.
I was like, "We're in Calabahi. You don't get that. I mean, you do get current, but not that much." So I was like, "Oh, okay." I didn't say anything. We got there a bit later. The guy it was a guy, Peter Scoons, who unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. Amazing guy, and he was just totally cool about it. He's like, yeah, no problem.
We'll get there when we get there.
But we got there, and literally the first 2 days, he nailed it all. He got all these amazing feed-in shots and just got the great sequences, and then we're trying to shoot from the surface, and he was just shooting lots of other stuff, little outtakes, little bits all over the place. And he enjoyed it so much, and I got on with him so much that he ended up chartering boats with me to come down to. He wanted to dive, a lot of South Komodo. He'd heard about it, and so I got to know him really well. And then shortly after that, I think it was the next year, then I had like Howard Hall and the IMAX crew. They wanted to go and do it. Wet Pixel, those guys wanted to do it. And the next year it happened. It was still going on. I had a private group. And that was even more intense actually, because there was one lady who was like, I don't like sea snakes. I don't want to see sea snakes.
Yeah, that's the right spot to go.
Yeah, exactly.
I said it's not. I said there's going to be a lot of sea snakes, but you can just get away from them.
Yeah, a bit on the sides of the hot action.
And this time, I swear not, there was hundreds.
Yeah.
And it was literally, there was just millions. It just looked like millions of antheas. And then
sea snakes.
And then there's sea snakes just like
going
like this.
Yeah, I've never seen it like that.
I come up seeing it, and it was just, oh my God. And it was just absolutely incredible. A few other people seen it. And then I got on the boat, and she's like,
oh no, really?
And I was like, oh. And I think that was the second dive, so she didn't do the third dive. And I was like, look, just dive the next day. She goes, oh yeah, I'll dive. She was really traumatized.
Wow.
And I can see why.
Yeah.
But then, I think the next year was with Wet Pixel, and you couldn't even get three snakes in a shot.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and even I done it.
You went to the same spots exactly around the island.
Yeah, did it with Wet. I'm not sure if it was Wet Pixel first or the IMAX crew first, but anyway, it got really quiet.
And how was it? How was your vibe? Once you get there, you said, "Damn, where are the snakes?"
It's like, what can you do?
It's nature.
They're not there, and that's it. But I mean, the film crews, they're actually really cool about it. It's like, well, yeah, it's not there.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's when you get the other people that going with expectations that aren't that professional, that I'm a photographer, I do a lot of blogging, I do this, I have expectations.
Yes.
And then it's like, well, we didn't see it. And it's like, it doesn't happen all the time.
But the guy didn't show us the action.
Well, that can actually be, and I don't know what it is with that snakes there, but you're obviously still going to see more snakes there than you see anywhere else.
Yeah.
But
You get
The
good
question
sunshots.
is, did something happen between when you guys used to get the massive amounts of them back then and now? Did someone come in and fish them out, or
You
did
remember
they- or some
my
sort of El
first
Nino
ever
thing, or
liveaboard with you
yeah,
on Damai and you
yeah,
got off in Bima?
yeah.
We went up to Snake Island and we did the first couple of dives.
Was that Manok though?
No.
No,
I
that
was
was
Gunung
Gunung
Api.
Api, yeah.
Gunung Api, and that would have been 2011, late
Yeah,
2011,
like that, yeah.
and it was around October.
Yep,
somewhere
yeah, would
like
have been.
that. Yeah, and we do first dive, and I don't remember actually because I've been there only one time, but we hit a spot, we go left shoulder, and then second dive we go a little bit on the left, and I end up on this spot. Literally was like a ridge going down with a flat plateau of 5 meters, 6 meters. I kid you not, I counted like 50 snakes sleeping on top of the top reef, some swimming up and down, some on the surface, like this, all around. I counted during safety stop like 50 around. So I guess it's something they come and go. It's not that they disappear.
Yeah, but
you know,
what like back when he's talking about it was literally like hundreds.
Yeah, and
Hundreds.
it wasn't just the. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are still spots where they do aggregate, and you just see a bunch of them. But what the film crews were after, it was a feed-in sequence of, there was jacks, you get like everything, you get bluefin, trevallies, goatfish, the snakes, and even giant trevallies would come in. And they'd all
And
be
they're all
it'd be
hunting in a pack.
feeding frenzy. And it
Ah,
was,
cool.
we're trying to work out like who's leading it.
Right.
Sometimes it looked like
Yeah.
the snakes were leading it, other times the goatfish, and then the jack. It was just like this symbiosis going on of the jacks come in and they'll sort of open up some rocks, or the snakes would come in and they'd go in and things were going out.
So after Gunung Api and all that stuff, after Gunung Api, after the BBC stuff, and you said your name was getting around to Howard Hall and the IMAX and the BBC, and then you also did some stuff with Double.
Yeah, so that was that's another cool story. So I'd again, luckily, I bumped into Mark Erdman on a boat on a plane. Actually, I'm sitting down on a plane and looking over, and there's a guy there, and he's just pulling up PDFs of mantis shrimp and fish and this kind of stuff, and he's just like a machine, just working away. And I'm looking, I'm going, I'm sure that must be Mark Erdman. I've never met him before, but I just heard about him. I don't even think I'd seen a picture.
He was a scientist at the time, obviously still a scientist.
End of the plane, I said, "Hey, you Mark Erdman?" He went, "Yeah, star Graham Abbott. Sort of, I lead trips around here and do charters and that. Charters? You wouldn't be able to maybe get us a boat, would you? For Chendrawassi Bay and for Halmahera." And I went, "Yeah, we could certainly try." And he said, "Well," so literally just within a few minutes of just saying, yeah, he was sort of, "Okay, well, what can you try and get us a boat?" So I managed to get him a boat in Halmahera. And for me, I wouldn't just get him one trip. It was like, Halmahera? Yeah, I'm going to do a trip.
Yeah.
So I led a trip. I had a bunch of friends, Kapal Salam, an Indonesian dive trip.
Yep.
Led them. So anyway, we did that trip. It was really successful. Funnily enough, him and another guy, Paul Barber, are like the two experts on stomatopods, mantis shrimps. And they were going around and they're cracking open rocks and sponges and finding tiny little species. Oh, and this one guy, Paul Barber's like, Mark, I think I've found the barber eye.
Oh yeah.
And Mark would look at it and get his loop and go, no, that's just a variant of this. He'd be like, oh. So I come up from a dive and said, "Hey, Mark, I think I might have found you a new species." He's like looking like, it was almost like, "What, you're a dive guide? What do you know?"
Yeah, what
What
do you know about
that?
species?
So I said, "No, look, it's one I've seen in Indonesia, like maybe once before." I said, "No, when I was in Papua New Guinea, I seen it. It's just like the Mapia, which is one that he'd recently named the red one with the weird eyes." And I said, "It's like that, but its eyes are different, and it's more like the Lisa, the bigger one. It's more like that kind of color." And he went, "You know where it is?" "Yeah, it's like 6 meters over there." So he gets his sort of spear, his little hand spear, and comes out, and yeah, there it is. And
Yeah.
comes up.
Okay, that's what scientists
Yes.
do to get it down, taxonomy and things.
Well, not just taxonomy. This is how places get saved. This is
Yes.
how Raja Empat's Raja
Right.
Empat.
Exactly.
And stuff like that. So yeah, so he looked at that, and so after that trip, during that trip, he said, "You wouldn't be able to organise something Chendrawassi Bay and Triton Bay, or no, Chendrawassi." He didn't mention Triton Bay. It was Chendrawassi Bay and then Fak Kaimana. So I was like, again, yeah, of course I can. I'd try. So I found another boat and was able to, that was 2 different trips, 3 weeks, North Cendrawasih there. So we'd done those 2 trips. Cendrawasih was really good. It was just hard corals. It wasn't like, wow, I really want to come back. Then Triton Bay was just, oh my God, I love this place. It was full of colour. At the time, there was a ton of critters. Fish life was insane. Jerry Allen found more fish species in that area than anywhere else at the time. His son, Mark Allen, was doing biomass, and they'd sort of worked out that that was the highest area of biomass on a coral reef. So I ended up looking for a boat to take back to Triton Bay. I just wanted to go back there.
Yes.
And then
Let other scientists go on your own and take pictures.
Larry Smith had heard about it, and he's like, I'm going to take Adventure Komodo there. So, I ended up on the Seahorse. I'd seen this boat, and they didn't know what they were going to do at the time. So I said, look, I've got this new destination. I can really just fill your boat, get loads of people on it. This place is amazing. And it was only in what was it? It would have been in the next year that we'd done it, I think. Yeah, so the next year, loads of charters, and I had one trip with Mark Erdman and Jerry Allen on the boat, and I kept 2 spaces. I was trying to get a photojournalist. I literally had in my head, this is a special trip. I got Mark Erdman, Jerry Allen. There's going to be some guests. I want to get someone to document it. It's really special. So I was asking the shooters that I know. It's like, oh no, we're busy. We got this, because it was a last minute thing. And then I'm sitting there just doing some emailing and stuff, and the phone went, and Dewey's sitting next to me, a partner at the time, and picks up the phone. Hello, this is David Dubelay. And it's like, David Dubelay's on the phone. Hello. I'm like, okay, yeah.
Yes.
So he's like, I've heard about, I've heard you got this trip going, Roger Empire, to Triton Bay. Really interested in joining. And I said, well, as it happens, I have
got
2
space
spaces
next week.
Got 2 spaces
just for you. But I did have to tell him. I said, look, I do have 2 spaces, but it's not going to be your whole boat. And he was really humble. He's like, yeah, no, it's cool, no problem. I'll just, I'm not going to be bringing everything, and I won't take up too much space. And it was pretty amazing. So then I'd sent an email out to a bunch of people, to all the guests. David Dubelay's going to be on, and it was interesting, the response actually, because some people were like, we're going to have a prima donna on the boat. We're going to have this, because unfortunately he gets a bad rep. I don't know why, but some people think he's arrogant, or he's this, or he's that, and they're just people that don't understand him. The guy is a true artist, and true artists are a little bit a little bit out with the fairies, not in a bad way, in a beautiful way, because he's sometimes, if you can talk, sometimes he's like, he's there and he's thinking away, and then I know that people have met him in dive shows. If you're meeting someone in a dive show, they're constantly like, oh my God, you're David Dubelay, or oh my God, what, you're this, you're this. So you're getting inundated, and then someone a little bit more serious might come up and want to have a conversation, and then it's like, oh yeah, oh hi, yeah, okay. And they get sort of that kind of response. So I think he's had a bad rap, and then people have said, oh, he does this or he does that. But there was one guy that had already dived with him. He said, oh man, you're going to love it. He's such a unassuming guy, was his term. And I was thinking, unassuming, what's that? And so when he was on the boat, it was a pleasure, because one lady come up after the second day and she goes, oh my God, Graham, he's amazing, he's lovely. She had like a little camera like this kind of size, and he was like, oh no, am I in your way? And he was just amazing. Everyone loved him, and it was a great trip. Unfortunately for David, he didn't have the best trip. It was first of all, we had really pretty poor conditions. Then he'd had a brand new camera, brand new C-cam, with all everything was brand new, this whole rig. First of all, he lost the diopter off the end of it, which is a C-cam diopter, so that was a ton of money.
Yeah, gone.
And then next thing, I'd put him with a buddy of mine. I got a friend of mine to come on and help out guiding on this trip. So I said, I want to put. He was mainly wanting to shoot the wide angle, so there was myself and Jan, another great dive guide, Jan Alfian, and so him and I were doing the guests, the critters, and I had Adam who was helping David, and Adam kept saying, David, this camera keeps floating. And he was saying, no, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
And he was saying, yeah, but, it's okay. And he'd sort of put the arm under a rock or something. And the camera went missing.
Yeah. They float up.
Yeah, I think he had 4 cameras down at the time and came back with 3.
Oh, no.
It was just like, and Adam's like,
There is a
not
Seacam
saying
floating
anything.
somewhere.
yeah. So it had, good. So there's some Papuan guy.
Yeah, exactly. I just said this guy like,
Wild
oh, this is a
driver.
great thing. You know, like one day you will walk in a village and you say, oh, I once found this. $20,000 camera.
Yeah.
David Dublay's camera.
Ouch.
Yeah, so it was actually funny because that dive site, first of all, I called it Iris Rock. Because I was like, what do you call it? Well, it was Salat Iris, call it Iris Rock. And then there was a lady who dived it. We'd always dived around the outside and hadn't spent that much time really shallow. And this lady, Kathy, comes up and she was going around it for about 40 minutes. And we could just follow in her bubbles, like, oh, what's she doing? And then she comes up, oh my God, it's absolutely amazing, it's lovely. So then I looked at it again and actually dived it again, and it was absolutely, the shallows were incredible.
Oh,
so
okay, all the soft coral.
We call it Kathy's Rock. And then David Duboulay, David's Rock. And then Larry called it Bo's Rainbow.
Okay, I've always known it as
David's
David's
Rock.
Rock.
Name.
With the swim through.
Yeah, beautiful name. So then, got on really well with David, and he was also working, that was a Bird's Head Peninsula. It was going to be Raja Input, but it ended up like a Bird's Head article that he was doing. And so I don't know if he got any great images to add to it, but we was talking about some stuff, and he was working on a nudibranch project, and he wanted a few more species and stuff. So I was like, work with a few nudibranchs and know a little bit about nudibranchs, and so I said, look, come up to Bali. Bali's amazing for nudies, and at the time it was super controversial. He was doing it in a studio, on a stage.
The white box.
Yeah, and funnily enough, I was thinking, right, okay, we're going to have words about this. Actually, I'm going to have to backtrack. And tell you a little thing about when I was on the boat with him. So years earlier, when I was in Australia, just after Wakatobi, before, when I was in Australia, there was a magazine article come out. Oh no, it was way before. It was the reason I went to the West Coast, because I was reading this article from David Duboulay about he'd go down to the West Coast of Australia, and he just fell in love with the Exmouth Pier, and I thought, I want to dive that. He said, this is one of my top 10 dives in the world. So I thought, that's where I was heading. I was heading towards the west anyway, but I thought, that's where I'm going to go and try and find a job. And part of the article, the interviewer said, so what do you think about photographers and damage on the reef? And the quote was, well, it's not really that big a deal. The bigger issue is people taking sharks, and in the article it was actually more about the groupers, the apex predators, groupers and stuff. So I was just like, what? How can he say that? And then years later, when I'm at Wakatobi, there was another photographer, photo pro, who literally quoted this same thing around a dinner table, and I was just livid thinking, God, Duboulay. so when I had the chance, and it took me a long time just to try and get him on his own, or him with Jenna on it, get them on their own, just have a little conversation. It was a couple of beers, and most people had slinked off. So I said, hey, I've got something I really want to talk to you about.
I got a bone to pick with you.
I said, so there was an article many years ago in Sport Diver where you were quoted as saying this. And Jen turned round to him and said, you said what?
Yeah.
And he went, no. Oh, I remember that. That was another one of these misquoted things.
Yeah,
and he said there was a whole dialogue, and they just cut it down to the basics.
Yeah.
So again, that's another reason why people think, oh, David Duboulay this. So, and it was great to say, because he does care about the reef.
Of course, yeah.
He's very careful with his cameras.
But you were talking about this potentially controversial thing about the stage.
Yeah. So when we started, I picked him up at the airport, and when we were going to, we're driving up all the way to Tolomban, and it was just before I'd even got to. I wanted to talk to them about it, about the nudibranchs. So I didn't want to just pull things off the reef for him or anything like that.
Here you go.
And before I even mentioned anything, they said, look, we know this is really controversial, so we don't want anything that's, if it's laying eggs, if it's mating, if it's doing that kind of stuff, It's okay,
Leave
just
it
leave
alone,
it.
yeah.
And we'd like to put them back exactly where they went. I was like, oh god. Well, I was going to ask you. I was going to talk about the same thing anyway. So we did that, and it was fine. I'd find him stuff. He'd just sit there in his little box and shoot away, and then it'd go back exactly in the same place.
So you would let the nudibranch crawl on something first, and then gently put it there on the stage, or?
Yeah, you just put it on a little
Sheet,
platter, a little sheet or something,
whatever,
and then take it up. It'd go on the stage, he'd sort of have to move it. He'd have to waft the stage because it gets sand all over it, and he was just really careful. Nothing got damaged in the process. Nudibranchs were nudibranchs. They just do their stuff.
It still sounds a bit controversial, though, if I have to be honest. It's hard, it's hard, like, if you are not there seeing it, like, to understand this. And especially, it was different days. Nowadays, with so many people underwater taking pictures and so on, like, we should definitely not encourage.
I wonder if you ask him now, if you say, I want to do that same project, if he would do it again.
Well, the interesting thing was, while when it came out, I was away, and I was away for about a month or so from internet connection. And then when it came out, I got a few emails or a few web pixel things.
Right, yeah.
There was a thread that
it was
just
a big
went
one on
forever,
the web
and there was
pixel.
a couple of people, hey Graham, we've heard, you went on this. Check this out. I read through, and I was like, oh my god. And literally took a day and a half before I wrote a reply, and it was because I just didn't want to.
It's always better to wait a little bit.
I didn't want to piss anyone. Well, I didn't want to piss anyone off. I just wanted. I didn't want to come in like some kind of, I don't know, just some hard ass saying, "Oh no, it's not like this, not like this."
Right.
And it was just. It is a controversial subject, and I didn't want to, upset anyone. I just wanted to try and think about how to put it diplomatically.
Yes.
So it was basically these things happen. And I think the bigger issue, if we're so worried about these kind of issues, then don't go for walks in the forest. That's how I sort of ended. Was if you are worried about these conditions, you should not go for a walk in the forest, because you're killing more shit by doing that
You might
than
step
you
on a
are
slug.
by getting a nudibranch and going like that
Yeah.
in your back garden. People are pouring salt over them. People are squashing slugs,
Yeah.
squashing all kinds of animals.
Kids are doing lots of bad things.
Well, not just kids.
No,
everyone.
people that like their gardens.
I'm sure you
I'll
go.
be
I'm sure you go around your house with mozzie spray or cockroach spray. We live in Bali. We have
Actually,
a lot of bugs.
I have to be honest. My garden is a bird sanctuary. No pesticide, no nothing. The worst thing
just
that
the
I throw
mice.
is rice, white rice, but organic one.
Okay.
And
And cornflakes, because they're healthy.
And anyway, I wanted to ask you something. So was this, how do you say, in English? Actually, the word doesn't come to me, but
What do you say?
was that what made you becoming the nudie man? Because now you actually organize even trips based just on nudibranch.
Yeah. Well, that happened by
The nudie nerd.
that happened totally by accident. I was doing a trip with a bunch of people that were all into macro. I'd sort of, over the years, just met a bunch of people, and I'd almost like I'd introduced people to macro. I loved it, and nudibranchs I loved at the time. On Sangyang, there was a site called Mencheng Wall, which was just full of nudies. So I'd take people there.
Sangyang is great for nudies.
Yeah, it is. We had this one trip, and everyone was just really into nudies. So I said, hey, let's see how many nudies we can count. We were doing a back-to-back trip from Labuan Bajo, around Sangyang, North Komodo, a bit of Rincha, and then going over to Maumere, and then we're going to do Alor back to Maumere. So let's see how many nudies we could count. And I think on that first trip we had something like 287.
287 different nudies.
And we're just amateurs. At that
you're
time,
not serious.
We're just
nudie
amateurs.
nerds.
We had the very basic books, but 287 totally different species. And then, as it happens, Dubalay, I was out with Dubalay. I met this. There was a girl who overheard me, Dubalay, and Jen sitting there talking about nudibranchs. She comes up and she's like, "I heard you talking about nudibranchs.
Yeah.
You like nudibranchs? I like nudibranchs. I write books on nudibranchs." Not quite like that, but she's a Mexican girl who's wrote books with Dave Behrens, Alicia Hermosillo.
Right.
She is probably the best eye for tiny stuff. Only nudibranchs, though. Everything else gets the flick.
Yeah.
Nudibranchs, she'll find all kinds of stuff. But she knows as instantly that's a different species. And all the names, everything else. And she was like, are you doing anything after you've done with this guy. I'm going to Komodo for 10 days, and could you show me some spots in Bali? Yeah, I had some time, so I took her around, and then done a bunch of trips with her, and she was doing a trip with Terry Gosliner and all the people to the Philippines. There were certain species that they wanted to get because they were doing this big new book, and I got an invite on that. So I was like, yeah, cool. I've never done a trip, just to work with scientists again.
On nudie
and so I worked with them, and it was just really interesting.
Yeah.
I thought the taxonomy thing for me sounded a little bit. I think the genetics goes a little bit far, but that's a different story.
How many nudie trips did you run then? To date?
Now probably about 8. Probably about 8 to 10.
8 to 10.
8 or 10
and the
different
highest
trips.
Where you
count?
specifically
the highest
just had
count
nothing
I
but
think
nudies.
here was it was like 487.
Wow,
or
where
something.
was that?
And
Komodo?
that was with Alicia, and that was I think 2 trips in Komodo. So we'd done a lot of time around Sangyang, Bima, and then we spent quite a bit of time in North Rincha. It's funny enough, the southern Rincha isn't that rich. You see a lot of the bigger ones, but not real unusual ones. Yeah, and then just quite a few trips, obviously, when the Malibe popped up. Then there was like, everyone wanted to go and see the Malibe, and Ali, she hadn't seen it. She's like, I really want to come. So can you get? I said, I can't guarantee. She goes, no, but what do you think? I said, well, if we do a couple of days there, we'll see it. And so we did. I got to show her that, and it was like really tough going at the time. Yeah, but we managed to find it on. I think it was the sec. She's like, oh no, it doesn't matter. We can go. I said, no, everyone else is enjoying it. There's a lot of other stuff. That was really cool. But there's another Malibe that was actually even more. I think in some ways more interesting. It's a Coriophilia or something or else, but it's the only nudibranch that nurtures its eggs.
Oh really?
Yeah. And I'd never heard of it, never seen it.
I mean, it actually stays in place and guards its eggs.
How can you see it?
Yeah, I can show you a photo. If you can see it with diving for images.
Make it like this, ping, the picture first, and then if you want to see with
diving for images,
reality.
It's generally in amongst certain species of coral, and it comes out more so at night. It's like kind of like a few nudies. Just sort of it's the same Malibe kind of shape, and then it curls around. Yeah, curls around, and just has this egg mass, kind of like the frogfish.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. It curls its fins and its body around. Yeah. This
Okay.
nudibranch does the same. So
cool.
That's the first for that. Yeah.
I think we got to start wrapping this up a little bit.
Yeah.
What's coming up next?
Coming up next, I've got an Alor trip.
Alor trip? When?
Nudies or everything?
That's going to be everything. That's because Alor's, to me, it's always been a special place.
Yeah.
I'll be going to Triton Bay again. That's really close to my heart. Love Triton Bay, great stuff. But Alor, there's a lovely new resort there that I think's fantastic. They've I was trying to think of.
That's right in the bay, yeah.
What could they do? Yeah, Alami Alor.
Right.
Really, really, really good place. So I'm going to be.
Let's put their website.
Yeah, and there's just a few special places in Alor, just photographically. Hitting at the right spots. Those guys have got it sort of dialed in for Mola at certain times of the year.
And when you're going to be there?
I'm going to be there in December.
December.
Okay, that'll be going on my website pretty soon.
All right.
But,
spaces available.
Spaces, yeah. It hasn't actually gone on the web. It hasn't really sent anything out yet. But
do a little flick with your hands, and we flash the link to your trip.
There you go.
There it is.
Link.
Okay, cool. Well, man, we could go on and go
on
and talk forever,
we're going to have to bring you back again soon.
So
start from nudies on up.
Yeah, and definitely we want to have you back here on the show.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Absolute pleasure, yeah. Great
chat.
Talk
a little bit
Good
more.
fun.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Graham. What we're going to do here, we are going to lead out with a series of photographs from Graham, some of the stuff he's been talking about, and some of his favorite images from, he's not just a guide, he's also a photographer. So we'll fade out with that. So, Graham, thank you once again for showing up to the Underwater Tribe podcast.
Thanks,
if
Mike.
you haven't done so, people, subscribe down below.
Thank you. It was good fun.
Smoking out outside, trying to get your attention. You make me nervous. In the corner of my best friend's sofa, you were getting buzzed on rum and cola. Wasn't brave enough yet just to talk to you. Not a smooth talker under pressure. Sweaty palms ain't making it much better. Something about you feels so special. Pretty obvious from the minute that I met you. Just met the other night, but I can't get you off my mind. Not a smooth talker under pressure. Sweaty palms ain't making it much better.